Good morning again. Welcome to the fourth hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. Thanks so much for being here. Very much appreciated, especially you, Steve Areno. Glad to see that you were able to pull yourself away from your busy life this morning to join us. It's always good to have you guys here. So thanks so much. New events that are happening this morning. Donald Trump. Let's go to Donald Trump's Truth Social page. And Trump says, I will expose Kamala during the debate the same way I expose Crooked Joe, Hillary, and everyone else during debates. Only I think Kamala will be easier. Trump said. He also said a few hours ago, this was this morning, Trump said he'll be doing a general news conference at 1 p.m. Central Time today. So 1 p.m., Donald Trump will be doing a general news conference. And the question of Kamala has been, hey, why no news conferences? It's been 18 days, as Fox News points out. She's gone 18 days without holding a formal press conference since she became the Democrat nominee. So she also failed to appear at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention, where Donald Trump, of course, was there, made headlines last week during the question and answer session, where I thought, his comments. I get it. I think some folks are having trouble. They're so in for Trump, and they're, that Donald Trump says some things that would be best kept to himself. And I'm not saying we ought to be criticizing him for it, but I've got to say I do wish sometimes he'd keep his damn mouth shut. You know what I mean? I wish he'd keep his mouth shut. I wish he would stick to issues. I wish he would just hammer things like the border, the economy, and bam, 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 and just do it over and over and over again to the point where people get sick of it. But Trump is who he is. That's always been the case with Trump. It's the He's certainly preferable, I think, to Kamala Harris and her running mate. So now the Washington Examiner's got a story this morning. Vance comes into his own as Trump attack dog. Talking about Senator J.D. Vance here. He's quickly finding his footing, rather. Excuse me when I misspeak. It's one of the issues I've had since my stroke. I do not speak or complete words. I'll leave an ass off a word, or that has been a consistent problem for me since my stroke a few years ago. And I think it's going to be a lasting problem. So, unfortunately, forgive me. But they go on to say that J.D. Vance finding his footing as a top messenger for Donald Trump's campaign. And what I'm interested in is not what the media is reporting as much as the reactions then for some Republican strategists and others who are saying, this is Josh Holmes, who is a Republican strategist. And he said, he's giving J.D. Vance solid marks here for his political IQ. He said, Vance has barrel of the bat swings going on here. In other words, barrel of the bat, man, as you're going after Kamala Harris and her running mate. And the editor of National Review, Rich Lowry, described Vance as inarguably a good spokesman for the ticket. And he's shown it in the last couple of days. Pivot and attack, rinse and repeat, he said. Excuse me. He said that's been the basic approach. Another Republican operative said, I wasn't a fan of JD being the pick, but I like what I've seen over the past week. So bottom line is he's getting some pretty good marks from Republicans. Now, watching this, the question I always have is, what's the take going to be on Main Street? Is he, I will tell you very candidly, I love J.D. Vance walking over yesterday to the press gaggle following Kamala Harris and walking right up to them, and because the vice president's not talking to them, but walking right up to them and saying, "Hey, I'm willing to answer your questions," and but I thought, you know what? It's right up to her plane on the tarmac and talking to the press there. That's the kind of guy that JD Vance is. And do you like that? Because I do. I will just have to say that appeals to me, that he's willing to get in there. And he even said, you got any questions? I'd be willing to answer them, so on. Unlike, Kamala Harris, who hasn't done a news conference in 18 days, and she's yet to hold the news conference. I'm waiting for that. You think she will? I would love to get your comments as to whether or not you think she is going to actually hold a news conference. Steve, you make me laugh. Most days I sit here watching YouTube, but when people don't come, I get to cover, he said. Steve said, what I love most about JD Vance is he's young, and he said, time to boot these walking skeletons out of Washington. So Terry asking about Senator Mike Rounds being on the program today. What about Thune? I haven't spoke to Senator Thune in years. I mean, honestly, the interviews that I do anymore with John Thune, I knew people in his office and in his campaign years ago. And, the thing about Washington and campaign staff and office staff, those folks turn over. And I've not heard from them. And I will tell you, Senator Rounds, you can say what you want about Senator Rounds. His staff reaches out to me every month. Every month I hear from Senator Rounds. I hear from him more often than anybody else. I mean, just very regularly, routinely, his office staff will reach out. And I know I got an email from Wes, who was I had an interview with Senator Rounds this morning, and Wes didn't appreciate some of the things that Senator Rounds was saying. I guess I'm more willing to. I mean, there are times when I can be like, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. You know what I mean? And, I get angry. I get some of that, but Senator Rounds just is not that kind of a person. He's much more. And he was talking this morning, on some of these issues. And because I think the political temperature is just really incredible. And more on that in a moment. I got here in the stack of stuff, and I didn't touch on it much. I touched on it with Senator Rounds about some comments the president made. Now, you're hearing Fox News. They're highlighting this on Fox News Radio this morning. This was actually from an ABC News interview that'll be coming up this weekend. Comments that where the president is once again twisting comments that Donald Trump made. Let me find that. This is my stack of stuff from this morning. It's fairly lengthy. And this was right toward the end of the program. Here we go. The president saying he's not confident at all in a peaceful transfer of power if Trump loses the election. And so in an interview with, it's not ABC, it's CBS, Robert Costa. And the president said of Trump, he means what he says. We don't take him seriously. Now that makes no sense because obviously you are taking him. He's saying we don't take him seriously, and he's saying he means it. All this stuff about if we lose, there'll be a bloodbath. Look what they're trying to do now in the local election districts where people count the votes. They're putting people in place in states where they're going to count the votes, right? You can't love your country only if you win. Can you decipher that? What the hell is, first of all, what the hell does that mean? I mean, he means what he says. We don't take him seriously. He means it. If he doesn't, if you don't take him seriously, what do you mean about him meaning it? And then, um, he's not confident at all in a peaceful transfer of power. This is what he's saying. Now, the bloodbath comment that Trump made was about an economic bloodbath. That's what he was talking about. If Democrats win, it's going to be an economic bloodbath. He was not talking about violence. He was not talking about a bloodbath. Now, I mean, the president has not got a grip on reality here. I mean, seriously, in reacting to this. And so, and I asked Senator Rounds then about that. And you can listen to the podcast. It's posted this morning at KELO.com. I'll let the senator speak for himself. But about bringing people together, and you get these just over the top reactions, and it starts at the top. It starts at the top. So when the president is just extremely overreacting, it's going to be a bloodbath. That's what he said. He was talking about the economy. Can we calm down? He was talking about the economy. And what Rounds was suggesting is you got to have people calm down. You've got to have people take a breath and, kind of get their balance. And so, again, I know that folks are really kind of, fired up about a lot of these things. And I get fired up too. Make no mistake. I'm not suggesting I'm better than I'm better than everybody else. I don't get fired up. Oh, I get pissed off. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I see what's happening to the country, and it makes me angry. Very angry. To the point where some days when I go home, don't talk to me. Just leave me alone. Let me stew. I'll be okay. But I just get tired of it. So first of all, kudos to those who can be in it all the time and not be affected that way. I'm not one of them. And I've told you on the air, certain point in the day, I'm done. That's my bit for King and Country. I'm done. So, there's Wes. Hey, Wes. Great that he comes on and chats, not hiding from the media like some. Yeah, absolutely. Wes, I appreciate that. I appreciated your email too. Thank you. I haven't had a chance to respond yet. So, and Steve said, I appreciate that Rounds shows up monthly or more often. Yeah, if it's something that's pressing, I will reach out to his staff because I know, again, they're in contact with me. I know who they are. I know who I need to reach out to. At Senator Thune's office, I don't even know who to contact. So one of the reasons, and again, if they want to be on their program, I will allow them to be on the program. Absolutely. It's not an effort to try to keep them off, but I'm just saying that there are some officials who make an effort to reach out to me versus me having to reach out and chase after them. I'll be very candid with you because I just have a lot of things on my plate. I don't have time to chase them down because my work day is 5 hours just on the radio show, and then an additional hour doing this, and then posting my the videos that I'm doing, posting those onto our website. If I'm lucky, most days I'll finish that by about 10:15. And at that point, I have been at the office 6 or more hours already that I've already put in, and then I may have I've got other, staffing issues and so on that I have to deal with, reviews that I'm doing for other staff, all of that kind of stuff. And my date, man, goes like that. And to have the time to be able to reach out to Senator Thune and be able to reach out the um and some of it I do by email. When I catch somebody and I'm aware, Tom Rooney actually has been a big help to me. Tom Rooney will copy me on an email with somebody and say, "Hey, I know you may be interested in this." In fact, I got a guest coming on tomorrow who is part of this group in South Dakota, the um, Vote No in November. He's going to be on the program tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and we'll be talking about it. That he will be encouraged, his group will be encouraging people to vote no on a number of these initiated measures that'll be up there. Vote no in November, for in particular that they're after. So we'll visit with him about that tomorrow. So Tom is a big help to me when he will send me an email and okay, I got an email address. I can drop an email to somebody, and that's a much easier way. Um, but I just don't have time to I mean, that's the honest truth. I just don't have time to line up a bunch of guests. That's why you don't hear them, because I'm more busy focused on letting you know what's going on and what's happening out there. So, yeah, it's kind of my I want to make sure you hear stories that I know you're not going to hear from ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, the usual suspects. You're not going to hear some of these stories from the legacy media, but I think you deserve to know about them. And one of the difficulties is right now is that, at least for me, so much of the news, it's political. It's all political news. And it's all about the presidential race. And it's like, and I'm not trying to downplay the importance of the presidential race, but I'd really appreciate your comments on this, because that's, yeah, I understand it's important, not trying to downplay it. But there are a lot of things in my life that are important. Yours too. What's going on with the border is important. What's going on with the economy is important. All of these, what's going on with crime is important. All of these other things that I think are just a big part of our life. And trying to find coverage and stories on those. I'll tell you, it's, I go to Free Spoke every day and I look at all of the stories that are trending. And I've got to bet there are a number of stories from the Olympics that have been trending. So some sports stories. But 85 to 90% of it's political. Political personalities or politics in the news. And I just again, I mean, I'm not downplaying politics. I talk about it all the time. So I'm not trying to downplay politics, but man, there are just a lot of other things in my life that I think are important. And again, on national issues, the border would be, and which is why I was glad to talk to Senator Rounds this morning. One of the things he and I talked about, what's happening with the border and what an impact then is that having even in states like South Dakota, because it is. I've talked to Sheriff Mike Milstead of Minnehaha County, and he's talked about the impact fentanyl that's coming in and what that's doing, and how law enforcement then is having to respond to all of these things, and that these people that are coming into the country, it's not just the border states. They're coming in across the border and then they're fleeing to the interior of the country, and it's having an impact then, even in states like South Dakota that are northern tier states, it's having a dramatic impact. Those stories are just incredibly, incredibly important. And yet the media is obsessed with political coverage. And I don't think, do you feel well served by that? I mean, I'd appreciate your comments. Do you feel well served by that? Steve said, I often wonder when exactly it was the news became only politics. used to be able to turn on CNN and they still had hard news. Now it's all presidential politics. Totally agree with you, Steve. And Fox News is, I think, no different for the most part. It's mostly politics, you know. And the like, again, the focus on the presidential race as if my again, I think it's important, but I don't think I'm going to live or die based on who becomes president. You know, the country may live or die depending on who becomes president, who wins the election. But yeah, it's just always politics all the time, um, which is why I wanted to share this story. Came across this. This is from the New York Post this morning. Camping World proudly raises a huge American flag that local officials ordered them to take down. And this is at Camping World in California. If you're not familiar with Camping World, I think most of you are. You probably have seen their ads. They do a lot of ads. I see them when I'm streaming. California. This is the dealership in California. They are displaying a massive American flag that they were told to take down by local officials earlier this year. They do this at every other camping world throughout the country where they fly these big flags, right? Similar flags. They are located outside of Stockton, California, well known for their giant Old Glory flying over the grounds. But in April, the San Joaquin County Community Development ordered that it be taken down for safety reasons and a lack of a permit. County officials said the issue is about public safety. Yes, it's public safety. Got to keep people safe. It's not about the flag. They're worried about the flagpole's foundation and the proximity to property lines. And who in the hell do they think they're kidding? I mean, who do they think they're kidding? It's all about the flag. It's just absolutely crazy. Also, I have to share this because this is the kind of these are your elected representatives, right? So as we talk about our U.S. senators and our U.S. representatives, right? These are our representatives. These are the people who are out there and representing us, right? So Senator Tina Smith, who's a Democrat from Minnesota, was talking about the military record of Senator J.D. Vance. Now, there have been a lot of questions about Tim Walz, and I want to be very crystal clear about Tim Walz. I appreciate his military record, but if he fudged on his actual rank and so on, I think that's an issue. It's an issue of honesty and his ability to be candid. And I don't think Tim Walz has those qualities myself. And I'm not mocking him or criticizing him for his for his military service at all. I appreciate his military service and the years that he spent in the Minnesota National Guard. But when he's out there and he's not being forthright about whether he was a command sergeant major or a sergeant major, and the Minnesota National Guard has to get involved and say, nah, he's retired at the rank of sergeant major, not command sergeant major. He never completed the schooling. It's a 2-year commitment. You've got to go to, there's certain schooling you have to undertake to be able to complete that. He never did. And yet Tim Walz on his website, command sergeant major. Well, no, he's not. And so the Minnesota Guard has to step in and say, not correct. So now we've got Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota talking about Senator J.D. Vance and his military service, which is well known. And so she's trying to make a comparison between Walz and Vance. And she says, again, this is Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota. Well, here is Tim Walz, who enlisted when he was 17 years old. He served in the National Guard for 24 years. And I'm not aware of any military service that J.D. Vance has ever served. So let's just make that comparison here. So even Jim Acosta of all people, had to say, well, he was in the Marines. Acosta says, yes, he was in the Marines. So here we have one of our elected officials out there. Well, let's just make that comparison. J.D. Vance, no military service. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did. And unlike Tim Walz, he went to Iraq when his country called him. He went to Iraq. Walz did not. So this, typical Looney Tunes reaction from Senator Tina Smith. That story is at the Blaze this morning. And then finally, I want to leave you with a something to hopefully make you smile. This is from the Babylon Bee parody. Babylon Bee is all about parody. So this is not real news, but it makes me laugh. I check the Babylon Bee often. Tim Walz backs out a VP nomination after learning VPs sometimes have to deploy to dangerous places overseas. The humor of the Babylon Bee. And we will, let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah, David, I kind of agree with you. David said too many Karens do not love the country, and it shows. Absolutely. Steve, Steve, my big news of the week, the 2024 Dungeons and Dragons rule book has big changes to it. There you go. And by the way, I'm watching, my big news is also very nerdy. I started watching that new Batman animated series. And forgive me, I forget the name. I should have looked it up or just recall it off the top of my head. But it's being done by some of the folks who were involved with Batman, the animated series, which was a big hit with Batman fans and a whole new generation of Batman fans that were created due to the animated series. And so this new one, I watched the first episode on Amazon and the penguin, and I thought, I'm not sure. The penguin is a female. The penguin's a female. It's Oswalda Cobblepot instead of Oswald Cobblepot. But I liked it. I got to tell you, I liked it. So I'll watch it for a few more episodes, though, but I thought I liked it enough that I'll watch another one. So kind of interesting. Steve asked, does Mark Hamill reprise his role as Joker? I don't know. I don't know whether or not they'll do that. That would be interesting. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there this morning. I want to thank you guys for being here. Please hit the like button. It makes a big difference. Hit that like button. And if you've got like-minded friends, I always say, please let them know about what I'm doing. And I'm going to be searching for things. Again, specifically, I'm trying to bring news here that I've not shared on the air. So I'm trying to make this truly in addition to the Greg Belfrage Show, a look at news beyond what we've talked about on the air. Because while we're on the air, I'm trying to incorporate a lot of your phone calls into the program. Here, I would love to be able to incorporate a lot of your comments and react to you and you and I having a chance to touch on a number of different things. So please do hit that like button. More and more of you are doing that. It's very much appreciated. And we'll leave it there. So long until next time, my friend, and may God bless.